In the previous video lesson in this series, I integrated all we have learned thus far about the initial node and the culminating node of the magic formula. In this video, I will integrate what we have learned thus far regarding what happens between the nodes and that constitutes magic. Listen carefully though, because in bringing it together, I will necessarily also share some new principles, or at least a more advanced way of understanding the principles you now possess. In fact, ponder the diagram I have up on the screen. I have reduced all of our understanding into one principle and into one word that gives us that principle, and that is pattern, a set of conditions. Whatever experience you're having now is a pattern. Whatever next experience you would like to induce and enjoy is also a pattern. One's task is to adjust the bits from the first pattern so that the new pattern emerges, to induce difference into the original pattern, precision difference or differences, a change effected. The new pattern is different from the old pattern. No duh, right? Easy. It can be, especially if you think of it and prepare for it in terms of pattern. The magic, the change, the difference, the adjustments in pattern can be natural, an organic part of simply living your life. However, we will, of course, in this series continue to detail what it means to adjust conditions, and we'll learn specific methodologies. Including right now, let's go on. From the human or magician point of view, the only way to induce difference in a pattern is by communication. The real-time 3D space or flow between the nodes, all of the steps in the formula, is entirely communication of some kind. The difference intended must be communicated. We can term this process the conversation. One of the communicants, of course, is the magician. The magician is the cause communicant and offers command, request, or invitation. Command is a technical term that I haven't presented yet in this series. It's not about being bossy or violating another's agency. It's also not stronger or more effective than request or invitation. I'm going to leave it there for now, and we'll get to learning about command eventually in the series. The original pattern is in a given language. The intended pattern is also in a given language. All that is has its unique language, its unique magic. In fact, the isness of a given appearance and the language of that isness are inseparable. Language is the pattern, and pattern is the language. You may consider a single appearance as a word. The magician speaks the new appearance into existence. The magician speaks the word for that appearance. The magician knows the language of the patterns and appearances they wish to call, and understands the existing patterns so that they can translate a bridge between the previous and the new. As many steps of translation as needed for a particular appearance. I am humorously reminded of the opening scene of Back to the Future. You may want to pause this video and look that up and watch it. It's a demonstration of nodes and translations, although the humor is that they are all rather imprecise. When I say speak, and when I say translation, request, invitation, command, this is a centering of the power of the voice. This is a much broader understanding of voice than only the human vocal cord capacity. It can include that, but often it won't. To speak is to aim and transmit cause and power, influence, and thereby induce condition, pattern change. This is a key for the magician. Human vocal cords induce vibration in air molecules, indeed in any molecule. We call the vibration of molecules, as translated to the molecules within our ears and into our brain, sound. Human sound and word are powerful capacities that many magicians master in furtherance of their influence. But the broader principle of speaking means to engage with the vibratory library that is the multimetaverse, to engage with frequency and to engage with more complex frequency codes, which we term elements. To speak is to influence appearances that are even more complex frequency patterns. To speak may be to set enchantment conditions. Chant is the root of the word enchantment, and that means song or word, vibration, voice. The inducing of vibrational change, actually or by some translation, or at the very least, and in some cases metaphorically, such as to cause ripples of change in an entire society due to a powerful speech given by a powerful figure. Way back at the very beginning of this series, I said that the most basic definition of magic is the manipulation and influence upon energy and matter. In this Keys of Magic framework, those two words and the ideas they hold are imprecise. I have rarely used those terms since then, and when I do use them, they are bridge words for those still thinking in terms of a non-magical, objectified cosmos. The magical cosmos is alive. Everything that is a being. The other communicant or communicants in the conversation with the magician are other beings. I'm going to come back to this, but let me set something else up. The position of the magician is actually here, encompassing or holding the entire formula. The magician as Chalice. When I say that the magic is within you, this is a functional mechanic, not a motivational speech. The capacity to influence change is within the features of your avatar. The magician as Chalice is a representation of or priest of the mother and the mother's abundance, provision, and innovation. The original Chalice is the womb, and P.S. men and non-binary individuals can participate in the womb and hold womb energy. Or, if you prefer, you can think of a seed. The seed is a chalice, holding all that will come of the seed. Remember that each being, each sibling within the earth, has its own magic, no magician needed. The being is itself, and altogether as the family, we are the earth. There is no non-being object stage that is the earth. Things that we think of as maybe being the stage, such as rivers and mountains and stones and fire and lava and the dirt of the ground, these are beings. There's no object stage that is earth. Earth is a meeting, a multiplicity of encounters of living beings, kindred to the least and to the greatest, and the creative consequences of these encounters. There is no magician needed for this paradise to be. This is the paradise of the mother. Enter the human, the proto-magician, into this scene. It is already a scene complete. If the human comes in and says, "I'm going to induce change," the question is, what change needs to be made to a paradise already complete? One answer is nothing, no change needed. All beauty and provision and joy are already. By this answer, all human magic, thousands of years of our methods and our constructions, is hubris, belligerence, and betrayal, to ourselves and to those we share the plane with. We are the youngest sibling, and it seems we are still in a nasty toddler stage. There is another answer. Humans are invited and born to this paradise. We are not foreigners, but also children of earth. The mother said to her other children, "There is one coming who will witness you, know you, and love you. That one is us, or meant to be. A paradise that is not known and cherished is not yet complete. We get to be the guardians and cherishers." And when I say that we may know the mother, know the earth, know life, know other beings individually, this is not a knowing from a distance, nor of the trivia of facts. This is humans inhabiting the skins and songs, vibrations, and properties and ways of these other beings, of our kindred. Recall and imagine many indigenous ways and ceremonies where we put on the masks and accoutrements of other beings. For example, I believe a Nordic and Germanic way is to take on, receive, inhabit antlers. Many original peoples in what are now called the North Americas receive and put on feathers, among other things. We continue to reach out to and become a variety of other beings. I am reminded of Umbrella Academy, starting in Season 2, spoiler alert. One of the characters is a cube. This was silly and comedic most of the time, but for me, when I saw the cube as a representation, the willingness we have to inhabit even the life and personality of a cube and understand it as a sibling, with my magical eyes and heart, I'm actually moved by that. The outer accoutrements of masking and representation symbolize the deeper real-time sharing and fusing with the being, its true nature, and its earthly properties. This is the height of knowledge, which is becoming. Humans are rarely themselves. Humans are naturally shapeshifters. We empathetically inhabit other lives than our own, but that are, after all, our own life if we inhabit them. This intimacy with humans is primordially desired by other beings, because who would know them if we did not? And we primordially desire this union. It is a great ecstasy for both parties, for all participants in the web of life. To be human is to be a character. If you remove the character, you are wind. You are breath only. That's beautiful. As you allow that breath, that wind, to be robed with a character, a human character, a deer, an eagle, a cube, you are not the character, and yet you are. It's a mystery. You are the one come to know and love the character. Joy follows. We may call this masking, this storytelling, this shape-shifting, this inhabiting, deception, which it is functionally. But that term belies the sublime and holy magic it is to know another. Only humans do this. A panther is a panther, A cherry blossom is a cherry blossom. A chair is a chair. A human is a panther and a cherry blossom and a chair. As desired, each in turn, depending on the day of the week, we mirror, we weave, we dance in the mask. This way of humanness is meant to be holy. To establish knowledge, to establish a connection to share power and ability, is to be done with a vow of honor, reverence, humility, preservation of all beings' agency, and by invitation and request. This is a joyous opportunity we have to naturally and organically live in our earth family and in our human family. In terms of the formula, the establishing of the connection and inhabitations of knowledge is a background and ongoing work that the magician prepares, especially within their art and with the beings that serve and are served by that art. The magician continues their development to be able to establish knowledge in any selected or random encounter. Whatever comes to them, whatever they go to. Once the knowledge is established, that knowledge, that connection of power and property sharing, may be seeded with communication, i.e., speaking, and difference may be inspired. Which takes us back to the question of where we say, what needs to change in a paradise? The multi-metaverse is inherently expansive and creative. Paradise is not stagnant. The magician is an avatar of the mother and does the work of the mother. The mother of all living will flow through the magician. The magician, as and like the mother, calls for new life. Take in the weight of that. If one has brought a new form into being within the web of life, this is giving birth. The magician as midwife to Mother Earth. This is saying that by the vision and cognition and word of the magician, there is to be a new child in the family. The magician touches and animates life force and skins a new being, because there are no objects. That is why to be a magician requires the preparation of all the curriculum of the minor arcana, and then a long dedication as the magician through several stages. Because it's no joke. The magician is having the reins of life itself placed in their trust, and is invited to be trustworthy of that gift. Think about apples and other fruits that humans have coaxed and invited from their original form to what an apple is now, not to mention all the varieties. The human had the vision. The human communicated their vision to original plants, and the plants responded to the invitation to become another version of themselves. Whether that's a good thing or not is probably a mixed bag or on a case-by-case basis. I'd like to think that, on the whole, other beings enjoy being reborn a little differently due to the magical vision of humans, as long as it's done with love and honor and consent, and with knowing and conversing with the being in the first place. Maybe the being is the one with the vision, and the magician didn't know it until they took the time to hear the first little apples, and those little beings whispered to the listener all that they could be. Back to the formula. As regards both establishing knowledge and seeding communication, I would like for a moment to think of the other party communicants as fields. We have the field of true nature We have the field of frequency, the vibratory field, the life force canvas. We have the field of elements or fields created by specific elements, such as the field of water. We have a field called the world that is a collective of innumerable appearances. And we have the field of enchantment, all the storyline puppetry that's going on for human activity. And bringing in the idea of stage again, or realm. Our stage is these intangible yet creative, fertile fields. The magician may communicate to or within the field of true nature, to or within the field of frequency. The magician may communicate at the elemental level. The magician may communicate in terms of the properties of appearances. The magician may communicate to dissolve enchantment or to initiate enchantment. The magician has all of these fields within them. Of course, the magician has arisen as a being and character from all these fields. As a practice lesson, imagine a bird. Imagine a magician, a human, giving attention to this little bird in order to establish knowledge with the bird and to communicate with the bird. The magician may choose or find it relevant to communicate with the bird at the true nature level, at the frequency level, at the elemental level, or at the appearance level of what it means to be a bird. And only humans are enchanted, so that would not apply in a bird formula conversation. The communication and the translation of differences in the pattern, if that's what the vision is, can be in any or all of the fields and across any and all of the fields. The magician will have learned the language of all those realms. The language of true nature is trustworthiness and the hum of well-being. To the degree that the magician cultivates their own trustworthiness, there then is in any encounter a free flow of life and power, i.e., knowledge and the capacity to create with that knowledge. We have not learned the language of frequency in terms of this series, other than to understand frequency as vibration. We have not gone too far in learning the language of the elements. For purposes of this series, I'm using the 4-element system: air, water, fire, earth, although one may work within or have an art within other element systems. Simply being respectfully and joyfully in the presence of these elements will afford you some understanding of their language. Very conversant they are. Appearance language is very specific and unique to that appearance. Knowing the language of a motorcycle and communicating at the level of motorcycleness is going to be much different than knowing the language of wheat bread and communicating and calling appearance in terms of bread. Here is where the magician is the artisan with their preferences and joys. They dedicate to a tribe and learn the language of that tribe, the motorcycle tribe, the bread tribe. Enchantment language is having knowledge of other humans and communicating and creating in human. Haven't talked too much about that yet either. I'm going to end this video here. This magical formula integration is very dense. It is going to integrate not only mentally, but bodily within you, especially if you have been listening to all the previous Keys of Magic lesson videos. You need a rest to integrate. If you're able to, I suggest a sensory rest period after listening to this video. It can be brief, 60 seconds, and or visit your mother shrine. I will be doing at least one more magical formula integration video, part C. I'll do as many parts as the integration needs, so at least one more is upcoming. I will see you then.